Hey guys, welcome to the Preston MP channel. It's Preston here, board certified family nurse practitioner with the fabulous Miss Andrea Crafton from Bloom Perinatal Therapy here in Southeast Missouri. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm excited.
Today we're talking to all the mothers out there. Sometimes motherhood isn't all sunshine and rainbows like we thought it would be. So today we're going to dive into what struggles you can anticipate and are very real and what things we have to look forward to. Let's get into it. So thanks again, Miss Andrea, for coming. Really appreciate you for coming in today. And really for motherhood, there's a lot of hidden struggles there that, in modern culture, sometimes the wool's over our eyes. We watch these highlight reels on social media. We think it's gonna be all sunshine and rainbows, right? But there's a lot of struggles, real struggles there. As an experienced counselor and therapist, what sort of things do you hear most commonly that mothers are struggling with that are real struggles that often take people by surprise?
Yeah, so obviously social media is a big misconception of what motherhood really looks like when you bring your baby home. And for a lot of moms, they're struggling with their identity. So who am I now that I'm a mother? Also, all these hats that they're wearing. So trying to figure out, how do I do all the things that I did before, but also how do I take care of myself? How do I get my basic needs met? How do I get sleep? How, if I'm gonna go back to work, what does that look like? Because, also our sleep schedule, again, is not what it used to be.
No.
How do I still take care of the household, or if I have another child, how do I take care of my toddler now that I have another baby?
Yeah.
So that's a big struggle and misconception, is now that I have this baby, it is supposed to be rainbows and butterflies and just be this great experience, and it can be. So I also want to point out that even though we may be struggling, we also can feel joy at the same time.
Yeah. Well, that's a fabulous answer. I'm already feeling the warm and fuzzies of therapy, so I appreciate that. And I really like what you said about taking care of the mother first. In primary care, I use the common analogy we've all heard. You're on a plane, and the mom and the kid are right next to each other. The oxygen mask drop down because the plane's about to crash. Do you put the oxygen on the baby first, or do you put it on the mother first? Well, a lot of people think you put it on the baby first, because that's what human instinct tells us. But in primary care, I always have to remind my patients, well, not always, but a lot of the time I have to remind them, hey, if mama's gone, baby's definitely gone. So we gotta put it on the mom first. So translating that to therapy, what sort of techniques or tactics, tools do you equip your patients with, and strategies to help them work through some of those struggles that you just touched on?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite quotes is mothering the mother, which I think factors into this really well.
Yeah.
So if we're not taking care of mom, or mom is not taking care of herself, then how is she supposed to take care of her baby?
Yeah.
And so one of the big things that I always really hone in on, really focus on with moms postpartum is sleep. So when we talk about postpartum mental health, sleep is the #1 indicator and factor when one of the risk factors. So we want mom to have at least 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep during that postpartum period, which we know can be difficult, but we really want to make sure she's having enough time for that 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Then we want to make sure her nutrition is what it needs to be. So is mom eating? Is she getting the nutrients that she needs? And the other part of that is, again, is she showering? I mean, these sound like so simple, but they mean so much postpartum. And the other part of that, though, is just, sometimes when moms have some of these thoughts that come into mind, is, okay, how do I deal with some of these thoughts or some of these emotions and feelings that I've never really felt before? So sometimes just processing those and validating those for moms can be really helpful. Yeah. Because it can feel lonely. Postpartum can feel super lonely.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And as a guy, sometimes It could be tough, you know. We got to put ourselves in a female's shoes, and but that's so good, and I think that sheds a lot of perspective and light on it. That's much needed. If you made it this far, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We again want to give a big shout out to our amazing friend Miss Andrea Crafton at Bloom Perinatal Therapy here in Southeast Missouri. If you're thinking about having a kid, maybe you're in that process of pregnancy, maybe just had a kid, make sure that you stop on by Bloom Perinatal Therapy and say that Preston and P sent you, and the fabulous Miss Andrea will give you a free consultation for all your therapy needs. But let's get back to the video. Okay, so a little bit of some more serious topics here in the beginning of the video. So let's liven it up a little bit. You know, I always say I like the sandwich method of primary care. You know, you give the good information, and then you give that hard information, and then you give a little bit more good information to kind of soften it a little bit. So I want to sandwich you a little bit here. What is the most, let me take this back a second. Two-part question, just because you're so smart. What is the most fun part of your job? And how does that tie into the thing that surprised you the most once you got into the role and got some experience?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think what I love the most is when moms bring their babies to session. So I think that's the fun part about what I do is I get to see moms a lot of times, sometimes when they're pregnant or even the beginning of their fertility journey and then through pregnancy, and then now we've had this baby and then postpartum. So I really get to see the growth of that mom through the whole motherhood journey, which I love, and it's fun and rewarding. So one of the things that I think that was surprising, especially going from in-person therapy to now virtual, is surprised of how I was still able to build those connections with the moms that I see. I think that was like a big worry for me, but it is surprising that even though we're doing this virtual, you know, telehealth therapy session, that I'm still able to build that connection and trust and rapport with these moms.
Excellent, yeah. And that's a really good segue into my next question, which was going to be, how is it being a virtual therapist? I have a lot of patients that I send over for therapy and they're like, I want in person or I want virtual, or maybe some feel strongly that they don't want virtual at all. Some feel strongly that they only want virtual. Can you kind of walk us through what's the difference in like virtual versus, you know, in person, beyond the obvious, you know, being in front of the computer screen? Yeah.
So that's a great question, and one that I get often, you know, during consultations is how does this look and feel, and what does this process look like? So for my moms that I work with, I think it is great that they have more leniency, or there's not as many parameters per se around like a specific location that they have. You know, they only have this certain number of therapists or specialists that they can see, that, you know, is somebody that may be in St. Louis versus Cape Girardeau, if that makes sense. So virtual really opens up that opportunity for them to really fit with someone and really see if this is the person that I really want to work with. And also, like, each time that mom has a therapy session with me, she has a special sign-in link. So she literally can click that link from her phone, a tablet, laptop. So I love that they have immediate access. It's not, you know, especially for moms, right? We don't have to pack the diaper bag. We don't have to get the bottles ready. We don't have to get the baby in the car, so we don't have to find a babysitter. So I feel like, especially with the niche and the moms that I work with, that having that access or accessibility is really helpful for them.
Awesome. Well, fabulous answers and fabulous discussion. Again, I appreciate you so much, Miss Andrea, for coming in today and giving us some of those wisdom pearls that you've collected along the way. Parting question that I would ask is, for individuals that may be in the market for a therapist, or maybe they're a little lost along the pregnancy, motherhood process, and just aren't sure if they should pull the trigger, not sure how they pull the trigger, what is the best first step, and how would you advise that person to take that leap of faith, and how do they get that help that they need?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we often know that taking that first step can be one of the hardest things, because we're admitting, right, that we need help. And so, you know, reaching out by email, you know, text, phone call, and just see if you, again, have that rapport with somebody. Are they able, you know, to answer the questions that you need answered? Are they able, do you feel like that they're able to help you? You know, do they have that background? Do you feel like that you can trust that person? Because again, even in your role, you know, as a care provider, I think that is important that you have that rapport and trust with that person.
Well, if you made it this far, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I love making these videos and having our amazing guests and licensed counselors, therapists, providers, all the amazing people we've had on the channel so far. So if you enjoyed it, give us a like, comment down below on more things that you would like myself, licensed nurse practitioner Preston Holyfield, or perhaps Miss Andrea Crafton, licensed therapist and counselor, to talk about right here on the Preston MP channel. Give us a subscribe, give us a share, and as always, modern medicine with a nursing heart. Preston MP out.